Yep.
So
3, 2, 1.
welcome back, guys. This is 7 episodes we filmed in like 6 days.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's a
Impressive.
mind melting amount of information for me to absorb. But we're kind of excited about this week's episode because we teased, well, kind of for the last 2 episodes, the way it went, about having Andrew on. So sitting next to me is Andrew. I didn't even ask you before we got on, so I'm going to mess it up. So I just need you to tell them what your last name is.
And Kalen Daish.
Kalen Daish.
Yeah.
So I was going to pronounce it wrong if I would have done it.
Everyone
So you
does.
were born in?
Born in England, Welsh father, Swedish mother.
Oh yeah, so I thought you didn't grow up in Wales. No, you grew up in England.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Well, that explains a lot.
Yeah. So we all have access.
Well, we'll just kind of jump from where we were at before, just to understand why Andrew is here.
Yep.
Is that we had Andrew speak at the gathering the other day on the subject of performance and just generally the things you've been working on.
Yeah, well, let's give Andrew's background first, so
Yes.
people know.
So I played rugby since 6 years old.
So just forever.
Just forever.
Yeah.
It's pretty much religion in my household with my father. And then went to rugby playing school, played junior internationals for Wales, and then made the allegiance swap when playing pro rugby to Sweden. And then I've played Sweden Sevens for 10 years and played Sweden 15s as well.
Did you play for the English team?
No.
Never. Oh, you say well, Welsh or Swedish. Oh,
Yeah.
you just betrayed all of them.
Yeah,
There you
betrayed
go. I
them all.
like it.
So I played 5 years professionally.
Okay.
And then played semi-professionally ever since. So always in the sort of top 3 leagues in the country.
Okay.
So
So not like kind of a casual rugby player then.
No. And
No.
now you're doing 7s, but you're also doing the 15s.
Yeah, back playing 15s
Yeah,
now,
you're
so.
back to get signed on the club.
Yeah.
He was about to retire 2 years ago, so I guess there
Yeah.
was an improvement there.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we start with that too? Like 2 years ago, you came in with some pretty rough. Wasn't you have big
Well,
shoulder problems?
Yeah, I mean rugby injuries, right?
Yeah, so I had a shoulder surgery late 2000s, 2007 I think it was, and basically wear and tear kept taping it up, and by the end of it I was up here.
Yeah.
And went to the seminar in Sweden, and I just went to Rich, I need help.
Yeah.
This is not right.
And if I remember right, it was like, I just want to get my shoulder better so I can play
So I
with
can
the
play with my
kids
kid.
Yeah.
And I think
That's what I wanna
Because
do.
I'm about to retire this year anyway, and I want to play with my kid.
soon as shit gets together, he's like, all right, Hulk's ready to smash
One more year.
again.
No, you do. One more year.
One more year.
That was last year, by the way. This year was like, oh, and by the way, they signed me up for the club as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, so it's been 2 years since I said I'd finish.
Yeah.
So things must work.
Something is working.
Something's
Exactly.
working.
Yeah.
What does the missus say about you going back to still competing again after?
Yeah.
She doesn't have much choice in
No,
that.
it's-
But it is semi-pro, though. You're there during
Yeah.
the week because you have a
Yeah.
daughter,
Yeah, so it's
and so you're basically a stay-at-home dad
yeah.
up until you go play.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good fun.
Yeah.
Both,
Exactly.
both sides is good fun.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So, which direction do we want to go from here? So,
Well, okay, so we talked. We're going to talk about all the work we've been doing with Andrew because he's been testing a bunch of stuff, and
Yeah.
then I asked him to try a few things specifically for a very simple reason. So we start, for example, like the study we talked about 2 podcasts ago, last podcast,
Yeah.
whatever, one of those, because for us it was yesterday, and he was showing that in order to basically burn fat, but that also works for building muscle, you have to go into the fight mode, and that's calorie independent. So it's not how much you eat to gain weight or whatever. It's literally, are you in the proper state to burn fat and build muscle? If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go see the podcast in question, right? So we started talking about this because that means that in order to train correctly to get what you want out of it, which is gains, you need to be in a proper state, which is a fight state. All right, that's a sympathetic response. We were like, okay, that works, that makes sense, it was working. The problem is you can't push the machine every single day to the nth. So we were like, okay, so yes, in order to burn fat and all that stuff, you need to push the sympathetic, but how much? How much? Because if you start, we try that with CrossFit, which is a competition every day.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, cripple yourself every single day, you'll make progress. That's true, but you run into a wall really fast.
and it works pretty well until it doesn't. And once it doesn't, what they find is they never can get to that point.
Yeah, and by the way, it works really well if you don't compete.
Yeah.
It only works well if you just train like that every day, because every day is your competition. But if you try to do competition, then the accumulation of stress of your training like that plus the competition just makes you crash right away. So we are like, all right, there has to be a difference between training and competition. So there's between building and testing. That's what I think people don't understand with conditioning, is that there's building conditioning and then there's testing conditioning. It's not the same. Building conditioning is you finish the session going like, wow, that was hard. And testing is like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like you're in a corner crying yourself to sleep.
And testing condition is that's a thing that I tend to do often when I'm not keeping up on my conditioning.
Yes, and then you test to make sure you're still there.
Yeah, you go back for the first time after a while and you do something you think you used to be able to do and it just smashes your shit in, and then you don't want to go back and do it again.
No, and plus it turns into a competition with yourself. Like, can I still do this?
That's and one that testing. You lose all the time because you're not.
It's like doing a 1 rep max.
Yeah.
Right, on the deadlift, going like, am I still strong? Yeah, you just fucked up your back, and now you can't train for a week because you're sore everywhere. That was a dumb thing to do. And yet, with conditioning, we do it all the time. Let's see if I can do a 1 rep max with my conditioning. That is the approach everybody has, does, right? Yeah. But at the same time, if you pace, right, if you don't understand, if you're not in the right state, you won't get anything out of the training. So, and that's what we see really with the problem with people, was either they go full Super Saiyan, full sympathetic, like this, or they don't want to be there. So the difference in the state is, do you want to be there or not? If you want to be there, it's a fight state, we're good. If you don't want to be there, it's a flight state, you're bad. So the problem is, it's either one, when they go full sympathetic testing, or they try to build, but then they don't want to be there, they don't do shit. So our thing was like, how do we do this? How do we push conditioning while wanting to be there? Because basically it's like building your C game, right? You have days where you're not good. How do you build your C game up, that base level that we need to build up? How do we do that? Because we played with a bunch of stuff, but at first it was always a sympathetic response. And then for Andrew, that became a problem. So I'll let you explain that one. But
yeah, when you're playing 80 minutes of rugby once a week, you don't really want to go sympathetic during the week. 80
minutes, that's twice 40 minutes of 15
and it's just, and it's
players 40, rugby of continuous,
just violence, basically. Yeah.
Running into each other, smashing each other all the time. Either you're going to trying to stop someone or someone's trying to stop you.
Constantly.
By the way, with a sprint, and then again, that continuous stress level of, so that fight mode, 80 minutes per weekend.
Plus, then I suppose there's a recovery cost to that, a crash for a couple days after.
Like the cuts, like he fucked up his head, taped it, and then went back in. I don't think people understand the amount of,
rugby players often look like wrestlers.
Like
cauliflower ears, smashed up eyes.
With the same injuries too, by the way. But so imagine the stress levels, right? So you run into the problem of, what about during the week? Can we push the conditioning during the week? And yes and no. We could build the conditioning, but sympathetic response, that was not a big one, not a Super Saiyan.
It just got to the point where I was pushing the sympathetic on a Saturday. I just didn't want it in the week. It wasn't beneficial to my life. It wasn't beneficial to me to keep going back at that.
Can we talk about this, about your life also, like the way it started to affect you? I think it's very important for people to know.
Yeah, it was just crushing me. It was just crushing me, and it was putting an effect on everything I was doing. And it was wrecking the way I was, my sleep and everything. I was just always constantly
relationships, right? So suddenly with your daughter you're different, with your wife you're different.
Yeah, I just want to. So with daughter, I wanted to be there for her and do everything I could for her. But if I was always stressed, it was just it wasn't the same. It wasn't the environment I wanted her to be brought up in. So.
Yeah, and you just didn't want to go there, basically, mentally. So now we're facing a problem, right? We could have him training, but not wanting to be there. And we know then if you do that, the training is worse than bad. Like that's what we were talking about the other day, is you cutting that melanocortin axis anyway, where you're more likely to produce fat, you're more likely to lose muscle, you're basically in that flight mode continuously instead of being in a fight mode. So how do we get the training still valuable, still making not just maintaining, we're talking making progress, but without stressing the fuck out of him in a way that he can still live his normal life and go on a Saturday and get the Super Saiyan on. That was really what we set out to do, and there was a natural evolution that came to what Andrew has been playing with. So after
So all this stuff kind of came up to a point where it's like, all right, there is this problem, right?
Yeah.
And I think you guys had identified what the problem was pretty easily.
Well,
right?
we knew because we both pushed training to almost continuous testing, and then it was like, dude, it's not working.
Yeah, and once you figured out, like, well, I can't just keep, because you can, I know how hard Andrew works, you can just make yourself do a thing that you don't want to do, except just like you said, like
you're not getting anything out of it. I think it reached the point where basically that's the problem is you put all the work and it's worse than not getting anything out of it. You're going backwards. So you wake up some morning, you're full of water, you look fat, your muscles are flat, and you go, what the fuck? I put all that work and I look like shit. That's mentally, you're like fuck. And knowing that the next day you're gonna have to push, and after you train, you can't do shit. Me, I tested that because after I trained, I couldn't play pool. Not physically, it's just on the table, like I couldn't concentrate for 3 seconds. You know, like frustration builds up. I'm like, just look at the fucking ball, and
I need to be here right now.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm fucking off somewhere again. And so what? I'm like, trying to help Yaya, and my mind is fucking off. I can't concentrate. I can't help her with homework. I can't play pool. I can't just stay 5 minutes and have a normal conversation with Carla. My mind is going all over the fucking place. What am I going to do tomorrow? You know that you're on the fucking train like continuously, and this is not a good feeling, by the way. Talk about, like it'll make you anxious real fast when your mind just won't stop. And that was for hours after every training session. So I was like, all right, that's not working.
So your choices were really, I'm either going to be miserable, I'm going to quit, or I need to find a solution.
Yeah, it got to a point of I was training. I was just like, no, I don't want to be here.
I'll just play rugby.
My training just had a massive dip.
Yeah.
And then we were discussing this and we were talking about it, and then it got to the point of this sort of came up with flow under pressure phrase, and how we could push conditioning, but be able to step off from the bike, the rower, whatever you're doing, and be straight into your normal life.
So that was a key. Good work.
Yeah. So instead of putting pressure on the sympathetic system, which is always going to be involved in training, people have to understand. Except like if you have an arch like this, right?
How is there not an arch-driven John?
I know. You're here, right? Basically, is we wanted the combination of flow and fight. That's what they call mushin in Japanese martial arts, where you have the flow, the capacity to look at what you're doing. Like you'll understand that from fighting. So you're here, and then you boxing, which is it's more like it's chest with fists, basically. And then the guy is trying to feint you, and you can, for half a second, you stop. That's a freeze mode. That's a freeze button where you go, ooh, what is he doing? It's like when the guy is about to run and he tries to sidestep you. For a second, and then you go, right? But if you just go one direction, he's going to sidestep you, or the guy is going to feint you and then knock you out or stuff like that. So you need that freeze button in order to make sure that you can still keep your mind on what you're doing while being physically active. That's the mix flow and fight. That Super Saiyan, fuck it, that's a pure fight mode, right? That's a pure sympathetic response, and that is where you cannot be.
And I think it's important though that while, like we said, that's necessary, it's a requirement for good training. It's part of the whole picture. Yeah. It can't represent too much of it because of everything. That
and by the way, the problem with that is you can go full-blown crazy in training when there's no, when your environment allows you to, but on the pitch you can't, because that means you lose your mind and you're not playing with. You make a foul, you do something stupid, you let your team down. In real sports. It doesn't work.
Yeah, you can't play team sports like a bomb ready to go.
You can play any sport outside CrossFit and go fucking nuts in your head. Like no sport will allow you to do that. Fighting, you get knocked out. Rugby, you make a foul.
You'll also get knocked out.
That too. There's no sport where you can go fuck it.
Yeah.
Right? Even Olympic weightlifting, you're gonna have to catch the bar and everything. Only CrossFit can you take a stuff and and not be there. That was always my problem with CrossFit competition, is the fact that you do not have to be here. Right? Most sports, you have to be here in the present. So we were like, all right, so we have to stop pushing this. So how do we raise the arch without pushing the fight? And I was like, all right, so it's simple. We're very good at fight. All right, so that means we need to push the flow. Now, the problem with that is most people, when they push the flow, they think pacing. No, that's not true either. When you pace, you don't want to be there. That's the idea is you're going to, what people, they lie to themselves about that one is the idea is make your body move, but mentally they checked out.
Yeah.
So you're doing the stuff for 10 minutes, but mentally you're somewhere else. Guess what? You don't want to be there. That's very close to flight mode. Right? The key was, how do I make myself be here take the pain, but not go fucking Super Saiyan. So how do I build flow under pressure? So what I did with pull, Andrew was doing it with conditioning, and then we started comparing. It's like, how do I build the flow under pressure? So flow meaning obviously some fight, because it's still conditioning, right? And in my case, it's still playing in tournaments. So I put pressure, but I'm not allowed to go too far in the sympathetic mode. So how do I bring basically both sides? So that vagus nerve with in that case, with the melanocortin axis. Well, how do I get both to work at the same time?
Yeah.
And so that's how we started to look at it.
So obviously, and my favorite thing about this was because it's just a shit ton of just conditioning, and the way Andrew will describe some of the details when we get into it, you'll see that it's the only way that you can know how the things that he figured out is by just a massive amount of trying and failing, while doing things that are really intense and really long, and just so my favorite thing about this is like, Julian was never going to do this.
Nope.
Yeah. Which meant the only way that
Andrew
it was going to happen is Andrew's just like,
I've done my part. I won at the pool tournament, okay? I'm doing my part.
Well,
it's not that one.
Well, there is a whole pile of principles behind it that you laid on his lap, so there's some value there. But I mean, like this work wasn't going to be done unless somebody said, I am going to do, and this was real work. This isn't like, I thought about it, hey guys, try this thing.
And it had to be done by him, because it had to be done by someone who on Saturday will need to go fucking insane.
And the truth is, it had to be done by Andrew, because you have to be really honest with yourself.
And you have to know the difference.
Pretend,
and
you
there
have
had to be
know.
a price if he fucked up.
Yeah.
And the price was, for example, can't be with my daughter, or can't play well on Saturday. So there had to be an immediate price to fucking up. Just like me on tournament, I fuck up, I'm out. All right. So then you come back to the next one and you go, well, I better do a lot better this time.
So do we want to do breathing first or data first?
No, because that's not how we started. We started with the data.
Yeah.
Data. So we went with the data first.
First.
Okay. So tell me how you approach data with conditioning.
Well, when I'm playing rugby, I've got a scoreboard, and I've got that's it.
Yeah.
There's no other data,
Yeah.
and the only the person on the pitch who knows how long's left or how long we've played is the referee. So there's 30 players
and
playing.
Not telling you.
He's not telling me.
No matter how hard he asks.
Yeah, exactly.
There's 30 players playing.
How long do we got?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
I do have a question. Can you peek?
Yeah, you pick, and you can sometimes say, "Sir, how long have we got left?" And he might look and go, "A few minutes."
Okay.
He might.
So you can get
if there's
an
a few
idea.
minutes, otherwise you're like, sometime left.
So you can get an idea.
Yeah,
unless you
exactly.
kiss them off.
A certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And it surprises me how many people rely on a screen during conditioning, or rely on a heart rate monitor and the feedback to actually tell them how well they're working.
Yeah.
Because in sport you don't have that. You don't have the information available.
No, you just are out there doing a thing.
You're doing your thing, and then you're getting a feedback saying, "Can I do more? Have I got more? Where am I on this pitch?"
Or it says like, or on the machine it says, you're doing X amount of work, good for you.
Yeah.
Or
No,
you're
but
doing
inside
this
you're
much, you suck.
dying.
Yeah.
Like you have to know when you're gonna redline.
Yeah.
A sport, if you're about to redline, you know you have 1 minute left.
Yeah.
You better fucking know what it feels like.
Yeah, which means you pick your battles when it comes up.
Yeah, it's like, well, that's what heart rate tells me. Yeah, well, I don't know when I'm fucking playing now, am I? By the way, there's feeling when you're training, and then there's feeling under intense pressure.
Yeah.
That's not the same feeling, because now you don't really know. You can redline a lot faster under intense pressure than in training. All that shit, it's the athletes who you have to know.
So what tools did you use, or like what methods do you use then how do you approach data now in application? You go into workout, give me an example of how you do that.
So I have a classic workout. I had set up a beta group, so I could sort of have a few individuals who enjoyed conditioning as well with me.
Also we're probably told, like, by the way, I might be wrong for a while.
Yeah, well, I was like, I might be wrong, but can you just stick with this? So for example, on the assault bike, which I love, that's my main tool, there's a box which says work, ready, rest. So you can set the bike up to, I set a session of 6 rounds, 4 minutes of work, 2 minutes of rest, and then hit go and cover the screen completely, apart from that one box. And
So just from the box that tells you work or rest.
Yeah, and it will just flash work, 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 and it's about me getting as much work as I can in that set period of time. Because yes, we can remove all data, but sometimes in a game I'll have data which is 80 minutes, and I've got 40 minutes to play. So there is an element of time, but I don't know the time.
Yeah, but it's not like I got 32 seconds left. Come on, hang on. I got 10 seconds,
There's no
5 seconds.
Or what is my work rate?
People don't understand what it does the first minute when you don't know how long it's been. Oh, it fucks with your head.
Yeah, it's a freak out. Yeah. And it's about dealing with that freak out, that what's going on, how, where, and trying to mimic or minimize distractions and actually focus on what the outcome's going to be, and that's work.
And I think there was also a very important part is in a 4-minute round like that, there will be peaks and valleys. That's what people don't understand. On the pitch, there's peaks and valleys. When you play a game, there's peaks and valleys. Life has peaks and valleys. So that means that there are moments over 4 minutes or a 2K row or whatever where you'll go faster, moments you'll go slower. That's normal. That's the way it works. Shifting of energy system. Your mind went up and down. You're catching yourself back, wandering, so it'll go up and down. That's perfectly fine. If you keep looking at the screen, you will try to be as constant as possible. But constant is not a rate-based. That's the machine being constant, not you.
Yeah, so you're changing the whole time.
Your constant is feeling a certain way. But feeling a certain way at some moment will be a little bit faster and a little bit slower at others. As long as it feels right, like, oh, I'm not redlining, but I'm really pushing, then that's your constant. But that constant might not be linear. So it might not be time-based of, I'm rowing a 132. No, sometimes you'll be 135, somebody will be 128, but based on how you feel. Your constant is how you feel, not the fucking number on the screen. And that's the problem. Right? And so people not understanding that, they go like, well, if I row well, I'm going to keep a 132 the whole time. Then you are letting the machine telling you how you should row.
And there's going to be moments in that session where 132 is going to take
a shitload out of
you. It's going to take more of you at that point, and it's fucking going to be really stupid to expend energy.
The machine is telling you that when you feel like shit, you're doing good.
Yeah.
That is not a good feedback.
And it came to that. It's not submitting, it's working with the machine. Actually, I'm here to work. I'm going to use the machine to get the condition.
But it's not telling me.
Not telling me what I'm doing. I'm working with the bike to get what I want
because
from it.
On the pitch, in a game, if he feels like shit, it's not good. He's going to make mistakes.
Yeah. That's it.
That's
a really good point.
Yeah.
Because you can't go into one play, one session, active in a sport, feeling like you're underwater. That doesn't work that way.
Okay, but that's the problem is with CrossFit is that
we train underwater.
CrossFit is you train underwater as long as you have one more rep and the ref saying 5 reps left and everything, it allows you to push. But then you can be brain dead while doing CrossFit where you just follow instructions. The problem is that cannot translate to a real sport. In that sense, I'm not saying that CrossFit is not a real sport. Obviously, the effort is there. But the idea that you don't have to be in the present where you can just fuck off in your head while enjoying the work is not conducive to anything good. Like that was my main problem with CrossFit for Jiu-Jitsu was that. It's like I could fuck off during a CrossFit workout, but in Jiu-Jitsu, if I do that, I'm dead. There's a constant reassessment of the situation in a Jiu-Jitsu match where you have to dictate the pace, slower here, faster there, continuously. Whereas CrossFit, it's constant, as fast as you can all the time. I'm like, but there's no sport that allows you to do that. Like, it doesn't exist. Give me one outside of that. We still recording?
This one had a black screen. It says airplane
mode.
That one's on.
That one's on?
Wait, 2-minute break.
2-minute break. I'm just going to check and see what that says. Is it recording now or it's just off?
It has your lock screen.
Oh, he finally fucked up! Do we have this on camera? Yes, I'm keeping that footage.
God damn it. There's no way.
Oh, he did. Annie, your butt got considerably larger. Those shorts are too small now.
Okay, save the day.
Yeah, good save, Jesus. I don't know how that happened. It's on airplane mode. Do not disturb.
He finally fucked up. Yes. Yes. He's going to be stressed out for 3 weeks about this. We have this on camera. It's awesome. This is staying in the podcast, I'm saying. So, Andrew, let's when they have like during the game something goes down and the commentators have to have a conversation. So, let's talk about how much Tyler fucked up on that one. How did you like the gathering? Well, man, remember that time when Tyler fucked up? Yeah, man, that just will not stop. He's still looking at it. Sorry, people, we're having technical difficulties with the camera, but our technician is on it right now, and we'll resolve the issue promptly.
I mean, I don't think it can be, but just in case it's a space issue.
Uh-oh.
I'm just off.
Uh-oh. Did you don't erase yesterday's podcast?
No. That's why I haven't got them all moved over yet.
Do not worry. We are coming right back.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means that Tyler is going to be sweating the rest of the podcast because his stress level went to like. Okay, I'll let you have some whiskey. Fine.
No, that won't help with the sweating.
Start nasal breathing.
So you're saying Carla saved your ass on that one? Is that what you're saying? Aha!
Also,
See, told you I was right to get married.
for sure.
Not married yet, but anyway.
Also,
wife-ish.
it was when you said, "Hey, will you come up and check in 20 minutes just to see?"
That was funny, wasn't it?
What is funny because that video, I mean, it had probably 5 minutes of us setting up. So it was 16 minutes long. So it was like 10 minutes in somewhere. It just shut
Oh, so
out.
you didn't fuck up that much?
Well, I'm mostly fucked up.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't. It did. That's the difference.
There you go. That's the spirit.
So we went into the data though, like so you went as far as removing the time, and you're not seeing your numbers as far as your constant output.
Yeah.
Right. And so
So mentally, how'd that go? At first.
At first, it was brutal. You know, like the temptation. I said to myself, if I remove any tape, straight away 50 burpees.
Yeah.
Session
You
done.
put the punishment.
Yeah,
I
put
like
the
it.
punishment.
Yes.
But I
yes.
said, that's session done. That's not what I'm here to achieve. I want to be.
Ooh, by the way, I like that one where I've like if you fuck this up, you can't train anymore.
Yeah.
That's a mean one.
But I wanted to train
Yeah,
because you want to.
exactly.
I was
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I think I'm
Yeah.
onto something here. And it's like, 6 months ago, I was wanting to be. I was onto something. I wanted to go for it, and so I just covered the screen and just pedaled away. And then when it stopped flashing, I just removed and had a look. And it's like, yeah, done.
now the important thing about this is especially over time, I'm sure there's some adjustment, but you've been finding quite often now that the work that is output is higher or the same as it is if you're killing yourself on the
Yeah.
machine the whole time.
Yeah.
But within your own cycle, within your own rhythm.
Yeah, within my I think about 2 weeks ago. So I had a 6:24 2K row,
Gross.
which was I was quite impressed with it. I was quite happy with it.
Yeah, me too. I'm doing it.
But I remember doing it with a friend, and we were in the hurt locker for
Yes.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Just I was lungs, like someone just punched me straight in there. Felt like I was going to bleed from my mouth. That taste, that taste in the back of your mouth,
Yeah.
everything. And then 2 weeks ago, rode it again. No screen apart from, and this is what some people pick me up on. I had the second of the time was the only thing I could see. So when that stopped is when I knew I stopped. Because some people are like, well, how do you not know? It's like, well, you can have a little subtle. I don't know what.
Oh, so you let it count down.
So I put the 2K mode on.
Yeah.
Went going, and it's obviously counting up. So when the number of the second was stopping, that's when I stopped.
okay.
And I rode a 6:38. So obviously 14 seconds less. But I got off, took my feet out. Some guy walked past me and said, "Oh, how was that?" I was like, "Yeah, 6:38." Just got up and put the rower back.
Yeah.
But it was only 14 seconds.
And so that's the thing that I haven't done or experienced much. It's interesting. I'm interested to try it because whatever conditioning I can do to not hate it.
Yeah.
Because like I said, what I do is die if I do
Well,
it.
that's the classic. People, you go, we're going to do a salt bike. Say, oh no, I don't like that. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt
testing.
straight away. They assume conditioning is testing, but it's not. We can get lots of work done in that flow under pressure situation, which is so beneficial to us.
But people have, and that's a very important point. Testing is the rugby game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like people have to understand where Andrew comes from on this one. Any training session he does is to build. None of them should be testing. Testing is the fucking game, right? So for CrossFitters out there that have that problem, so that means that you're gonna have sessions that are building sessions, right? Most of them, and then you're gonna have to set yourself a testing session where you can look at the data and just murder yourself. But that's once in a while. Yeah. It cannot be every session. You have to treat it just the way Andrew treats it.
Yeah. So it's like in the last probably 12 weeks, conditioning wise, I've done 2 dirty 30s, and that's the only testing I've done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a workout that is only, that's not a data, that's
There's
just
no
die.
It's just die.
Yeah.
Because, and yes, I do a test every Thursday, but it's not a test, it's me just seeing
It's a test of what you can do in that flow under pressure.
that flow under pressure. It's not, I'm not testing myself in pure sympathetic and going.
So the first step was the data, right? But by the way, the first few sessions were, did you have good scores or did you just freak out and crash everywhere?
More freaking out of that. What's going on? What am I doing? And things like that. Because I'm used to reading RPMs and SPMs
exactly,
and time and how many calories per minute and things like
It's
that.
the not knowing.
It's the not knowing, and that's the hardest bit, is not knowing where I am. But then I just started thinking to myself, well, I don't know where I am when I play, so why does it even matter? And when you actually accept the fact it doesn't matter. Then you're like,
it's how well you're doing.
Yeah.
But you know, this is a conversation we have with nutrition, where people need the macros.
Yeah.
Otherwise, well, how do I know how I'm doing? By how you feel.
Yeah.
That's how you know how you're doing. It's the same thing. So that's a problem with programming. So people do it with, well, if I don't know how many sets I have to do, how am I supposed to know how hard I should go? You should feel it. It's the same idea. Like in real life situation, you don't have a screen, someone counting the reps, a percentage or stuff like that. We talked about that with percentages all the time. 84% depending on the day. It feels like 120 or it feels like 68. It just depends on the day.
Yeah.
You have to be able to adjust.
So how long did it take for things to start to really click? Where you're like, wait, I'm starting to get this.
Step one. So step one was data.
So
right?
did removing the data ever improve though on its own, or was you just like, well, I'm in this new thing, how do I make this new thing better? Because did you remove the data and things were strange, you were freaking out, right?
Yeah.
And then started to...
Did it start to improve, or did you change anything to make it improve?
We started to improve massively. I was noticing that the session I was doing, the 4 minutes, 2 minutes off, 6 rounds of that, I was improving slowly. The calories were creeping up. And then it got
and not because you were like dying.
No, because it was like everything was closing in. I wasn't concerned about the bike. I wasn't concerned about...
Focus was improving.
It was like laser vision. All I was doing was cycling, looking straight ahead, and every time I'd look down, still saying work, back up.
And that's what we were talking about. That's the flow stuff. Right? The problem with the overly sympathetic is your mind fucks off. You know, when you really endure something, like that 628 row he did, it's thinking about something else. Think about pancakes or whatever, you know what I mean? Where you're just enduring work, but you don't want to be there.
Suffering.
And exactly. So your mind just drifts off to basically you being able to endure more. That means you don't want to be here. The problem with that is that means you're in flight mode. You're not building anything. You're not burning fat. You're not building muscle. You're not building your engine. Because of the way the sympathetic system works. You're so overly there that you put yourself in flight mode. You're just becoming really good at enduring instead of really good at performing. There's a difference between enduring, so endurance, that's why it says endurance is bad for you. Enduring versus performing, there's a difference there. And the overly sympathetic stuff that most CrossFitters put themselves into does not lead to, it leads to progress, but not as much as they could have or should have. Right? And eventually doing that just burns you out. And that's what we see with so many athletes in CrossFit that are just burn out, and then it takes them a year to come back if they don't quit. It's because, you know, it starts like they do it in training, so it's not good, but it's feasible, but then they start competing. And the stress of the two together ruins them because at some point they realize that they need to peak better for competition, and that means backing off in training, but they don't know how to do that because they've never done it, and then they're driven by data and all that stuff. So now they're in that weird place where they don't want to train anymore, and that makes them quit. Yeah. And so that's what basically the problem we were facing with Andrew was exactly the problem most CrossFitters are facing is like, how do I push in training but not burn out? And it's a state thing. So first we remove the data, Andrew gets better, and then we introduce new stuff.
Introduce the breathing.
So the breathing stuff, which every time Andrew describes it to me, it sounds like it sounds like the opposite of what I know it actually is.
No, but thank goodness we didn't do both at the same time.
No, I don't think I would have.
That would not have worked.
Would it have been too much?
Oh yeah.
The freak out you couldn't have
you freak out so much with the breathing.
Yeah.
So I want to get into the breathing because I think that is obviously a thing we're going to cover. My question to you is, as people are watching this, we're hoping that they adopt and practice and experiment with some of these things. Do you recommend then that they start with removing the data, some data first?
Yeah.
Get that, so do not just jump in and be like Andrew said, you do this workout with no data and you do nasal breathing only and you maintain this. If you drop that on you at one time, you're going to fucking hate it probably, or you're just not gonna get through it.
No, you're gonna have an episode in the gym.
Yeah.
Like you'll fucking freak out and just lose your shit. Oh yeah, totally.
So definitely get comfortable with working without the data first, because then at least you're working on your own validation and better control, and it's your training at that point, not the machines.
Just even if you take away, say, strokes on time, for example, just take away a little bit. If you have to take gradual come off the data as such,
Yeah.
come off the addiction
Wean
of data.
yourself off.
It's like macros with nutrition.
Yeah.
People do. I kid you not. Like you can't just take everything away. It sounds
Well,
like
we've seen it in the nutrition group where it's like
people freak out.
and
They
it's like
still do
it's
it.
like okay, well, just how about this for now? Just pick the one macro that you're so worried about not getting enough of,
Yeah.
and count that one until we tell you to stop counting. But
And
don't
they
worry about any of
and
the
they
others.
still count. Yeah.
No.
It's very hard at first.
So for those of you watching, start with that first.
Yeah.
And I think before we finish, we'll give some ideas as how to do that
Mm-hmm.
specifically. But then we got into breathing, and what'd you do with that, and why?
Well, it's just we tried to put even more pressure in that flow state. So there's no data, and then the nose breathing was just to stay even calmer, but see if we could push it further.
Okay.
Yeah, so to not let you go full sympathetic,
Yeah.
right? So the nasal breathing, which means inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose, but endurance people know that very well, is to keep you closer to the parasympathetic side. So what they do though is that allows people to pace, which is not what we want. So when you run for like 6 hours straight and they go nasal breathing, that it's a lot of pacing. Well, like that's not interesting. Like that's still shutting off the sympathetic, the fight.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do that. That's been, again, we go back to the study, that's literally promoting fat mass gain to do that. If you do only nasal breathing and no, regardless of calorie intake, you are producing more fat. So that's what you'll see ultra distance runners that cannot get as lean as you would think they would get.
Yeah, because they're just burning muscle
They're burning
all the time.
so, yeah,
and
exactly. But
fat.
the problem is not fat loss is triggered by the fight mode. If fat gain is triggered by that vagus nerve without the counteraction of the fight mode.
Yeah.
So that's what that study was saying, right? So it's not me saying, it is a study.
Yeah.
So that's what you'll see. Some runners cannot go, like we are talking with that with my friend Wim, who has Olympic runners. He has world champions, he has Olympic runners and like regular runners there, and he has a woman who runs very well, but she's at 19% body fat and cannot get under, right? Obviously they're all carb loading, but I can still do carb loading and get you far under that body fat percentage. And how did we do that? By making her do sled sprints or stuff like that in order to trigger the fight mode, which produced muscle at first, so that means they gained weight, so they freaked out, but then they started losing the body fat and they went to the same body weight they were at, except with a much lower body fat percentage, which improved their running. But the only way to do that was to push the fight mode.
So in this case, so using the nasal breathing then doesn't mean use it just so that I know I have to go really slow.
No.
Exactly. So that
means.
was the
It
key.
doesn't use it. So it doesn't mean do that to stay really comfortable.
On the contrary.
So that's actually about limiting yourself, and then that way you're testing your own limit without testing the extreme.
It's wearing a weight vest, right? You're going to go as hard as you can, but we're going to make it harder.
Yeah.
So that you don't go full sympathetic. So in that case, he was in full nasal breathing, inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose, but while pushing as hard as you can.
I thought weight vests were just because CrossFitters don't have any muscle mass, and it's the only way to simulate it.
So a big under
It's
the
like y'all
t-shirt,
can't gain 20 pounds, so just wear it, I guess.
And so what we did is Andrew did it at first on the conditioning, and then I did it with lifting, where I had to go lift only with nasal breathing. At first it was fairly light, but then I started to get the weights up, and then I could get to almost maximum with nasal breathing only. But the cool thing after that is within 30 minutes I could play pool. It never crashed me in the sympathetic side, so there was no burnout, and it actually increased my volume of work tremendously without me knowing until the next morning. Suddenly, through nasal breathing, I could do like sets of lunges, weighted lunges, which I like. It makes my ass sore every time. But suddenly, instead of 2 sets, I do 3 sets, 4 sets, except I'm not realizing how much more work I'm doing because I'm feeling good, because I'm never burning myself out, because I'm staying in that focused state, which was the point, is as focused as I can. And nasal breathing can promote that. And so we're in the stuff, and except the next morning, then I'm fucking sore everywhere and wrecked, and then I'm like, oh my God, did I do that much? Yeah. Yes, you did. Yeah. And so that was very interesting. I could not do it with conditioning, right? And Carla was the opposite. She could do it with conditioning, but she could not do it with the lifting. So Andrew managed to do both. But that was the idea. So when he tested the conditioning was, how much work can I do with nasal breathing only? And did you start with the airdyne?
Yeah, always start with that bad boy. Just played around with the nasal breathing, played around with that session again. That's my go-to. I do it once a week. It's just a nice one I enjoy. And just seeing where it was, and then the nasal breathing rowing as well was interesting. But actually, I did a session with some burpees and into a row, max row, and it just felt like I was with the machine. The stroke felt, my legs felt strong, the pull felt strong, and I was just in there rowing. It's amazing the focus you get of I am here just to work. I'm here to get something instead of, oh, what's my heart rate saying?
Yeah.
What's the screen saying? What am I doing?
And when you built upon that, then, like as that started to move forward, your numbers probably started to improve dramatically. Like I'm gonna guess there's a point where you're gonna start with that, and your output's gonna suck. It's gonna be a little shocking, and you're gonna go over and back for quite a while until you learn yourself.
Because right now I'm doing the conditioning with nasal breathing, it's not even my output sucks. It's like halfway through, I'm like, I can't. I'm like this, and I'm fucking freaking out. And then instead of 400 meters, I'm running 300 because I'm like, I'm gonna get a fucking panic attack if I keep doing this. Like literally, it's like suddenly the heart rate that's because you having a moment of panic, your heart rate just jumps up. You're switching to full sympathetic, and you have to quit because literally you feel it's either a heart attack or a panic attack.
And what is more challenging to maintain something like that, like nasal breathing? Is it harder to? It seems like to me it would be harder to run. Simply because I feel like there's more stability.
Yeah, mine was okay. Running,
breathing through that stability seems like that.
Running was bad. Yeah.
Running's the worst. But
So we consider running an advanced, like if you want to master it,
start with
on a
rowing,
machine.
then I would go air down and then running. Running on the true form. Fuck no.
So running on the true form for me was the hardest, but running outside in an environment which I wasn't used to, like the woods or somewhere else, that was easier.
I suppose it would definitely be, well, also because the true form is fucking just sadistic.
The true form.
True form is running uphill.
Yeah.
Because you have so much hammies, so that makes it far harder.
Yeah.
Like I run faster, nasal only, but it fucks me up so much faster too. Yeah, I can't maintain.
So what happened to your capacity though at that? Like how long did things start to progress really quickly?
Yeah, progressed. So I've put 65, 70 calories on the session. Everything else is just improving. But it's the fact that I can finish a session and just walk away happy with what I've done.
Are you better now like that at your condition? Do you have better results in your conditioning workouts now without the data with pure nasal breathing than you were before?
Yeah.
Because it's
so
not
you're
burning out
performing
anymore.
more.
It's performing better.
So I'm sorry, you're outputting more work, if you will. So if the work rate was the thing that concerned you so much before, you're doing it now.
Improved it.
Yeah. So that's improved and better, and yet instead of rolling off with your soul crushed, you get up going, okay, what is the next thing?
But that's why the performance has improved. It's because his body is like, dude, we can't do this. So his focus has improved and his capacity to push has improved because there's not a fucking stick waiting for you, a baseball bat waiting for you to hit you at the end of the workout. And the idea that I can't be with my daughter after. If you think it is a way on your mind while you train, you're a fool. There's always that voice in the back going, dude, like, why are we doing this?
Plus, I think the stress of hating what you're doing or getting that
not wanting to
baseball
be there.
to the back every time, like you don't want to go.
Then you don't want to be there. And if you don't want to be there, you're fucked.
Tell a story about the guy. So we did a workout at the gathering, and I think this was one who did the rowing one, right?
Yeah. So we had a lady. She did the 2K row blind, so no screen. She was rowing, looked really comfortable. Sort of, you leave people just to do their thing. She finished. I put her screen up, and she stopped, had a conversation with me, was really happy, put the screen back down and carried on rowing. And she then turned to me and went, I hate rowing, but I actually really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah. She hates rowing.
Yeah. And now she's told me yesterday that she wants to go and do a 5K row.
Yeah, crazy.
But she's a strength athlete by the look, but she now wants to go and do a 5K row.
Yeah, she's a strength athlete, probably always hated conditioning. Issues with, probably wants to get leaner, but cannot because has conditioning, all the stuff. And the first thing she say, I hate rowing.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is that tool now is useless to you. The conditioning, the rowing is useless to you because it just...
You don't want to be
By the way, and that's what that study means. It means if you do something that you hate, you're going to suck at it.
Yeah.
Like you think you're getting work out of it, but you're not. Yes, exactly. You're not going to get the muscle and the fat loss out of it. Is that not? By the way, just real quick, just to show everything as an arch. Pure nasal breathing is fat burning. Right? From a energy system perspective, mouth breathing is carbs burning. We know that, right? Yet, if you do only nasal breathing and pace, you'll actually promote fat gain, not fat loss. So to get the pure fat burning, that means you need nasal breathing and an exercise that puts you in fight.
Which is flow under pressure.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Yeah. Everything is an arch. Because some are going to go, but nasal breathing promotes fat burning. No, it promotes fat as a fuel.
Yeah.
To actually burn the fat, you need to go in fight. So you need to have both to burn fat. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
That works. Everything is an arch.
Yes, and well, it's really important too to build upon that and say that, like we said, you need to go sympathetic in an extremes from time to time.
You still do, by the way,
Yep,
which is a game for him.
That's games
You still
for
need
you.
to test.
And if you're off season, that's why you grab a dirty 30 every once in a while.
You still need to know you're making progress.
Shit.
That's why I go to tournament once in a while.
Yeah.
You still need to have that test where you go, where am I?
Yeah.
So that's almost like a Carl Friston thing, right? You have to test a prediction once in a while.
Yeah, and so since we're building a system, an ecosystem that you're training in,
exactly.
and that way you know now it's like, all right, I have time I got to do this because I need a certain amount of this, and then I need to build from this end. And what you find is if you only do the sympathetic stuff and you stay in that game, eventually your capacity to do that gets less and less and less and
Because
less.
eventually you won't want to be there anymore.
Yeah.
Like, don't lie to yourself. Like the idea that I can take it, no, you can't. Everybody has tried. Even Catherine burned out. At the games like 2 years ago, she burned out because you cannot sustain it. There's a moment where you don't want to be there anymore. Everybody has been there. Like you're 2 years in, you're doing good at CrossFit, you have the skill, and now you want to compete. And within 2 competitions, you fucking hate yourself, your gym, your coach, everybody, and now you suck.
And then you just scale,
now you know why.
and you just scale up the things you've been doing and wonder why it doesn't get
out of
better.
self-hatred. Yeah. And so everybody's been there. We know. The second you don't want to do something is you're going to start sucking at it. And again, on a physiological level, it means less muscle, more fat.
Yeah.
Literally, you're making yourself fat by training, which is really not what you want to do.
Yeah, and well, and that's the thing is it's results that keep you in the game, no matter what. Like nobody wants to train at a plateau for 5 years, or getting worse.
Yeah.
And so if that's the reason, sometimes irresponsible training, people continue to do it because anything works early on in the game sometimes. So people just smash
And
their
what
shit
else are you
in
gonna
and they
do?
get better and they get a lot better because that's just the way
What
it is.
else are you going to do, right?
Yeah. So you just keep on doing it.
You know, like
And-
we see athletes that obviously are not the lowest body fat percentage, and they can never change. And you go, yeah, I'm just born like that. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. Some people are leaner, some people are less lean. But you see athletes at a certain level that just cannot let go of the love handles or stuff like that. Then that's what you're gonna. You could see that it's an indication of a fight somewhere not happening. So if you could just dig in, look at yourself in the mirror and see where exactly you're cheating yourself on the fight mode, then you could start to attack those areas. I know spot reduction is being told that it doesn't exist, but that's not true. All bodybuilders know it anyway. And to me, I'm starting to look at it as an evaluation of what you cannot do. It's like if you put emotional mapping and the spot reduction, that means that the amount of fat that you carry in some places is telling you something first physically, but also mentally. Where who are you and who you're not is being shown as to where you're lean and where you're not.
So let's do some examples.
Yes, examples, yeah.
I want you to deliver me something here for somebody who
The
wants
workouts
to,
from the gathering first.
well, yeah, let's do the no data one. We want to do the no data before people dive into breathing. So let's give like maybe 2 challenges because people love a challenge.
Yeah.
Kayla, is that recording? No?
Black.
Motherfucker.
Is the phone dead?
No, it just doesn't want to play.
Okay, fuck
That
it.
one's still on.
Okay, good.
Okay,
This is a
we're
good
good.
angle for
Yeah,
me.
there you
Nobody
go.
needs to look at me.
So you lose Tyler on that
I've
one.
been here the whole time. They know what I look like.
Is that your phone? That's my own
They're
phone.
both mine. It might be full of storage. It might be dropped. I have no idea.
Well, at least we have a few minutes. We'll use that, whatever. And then the rest is going to be on this.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
There you go. All right.
I'm
so
back.
It's a podcast anyway. It's audio first. It's all good. They get enough
We
minutes on
appreciate you
YouTube.
guys watching,
Yeah,
but I don't know how
exactly.
people watch podcasts.
No.
Actually, I do. Actually, I put it while playing pool.
Yeah, so it's
I
still
listen to
it's
Joe
just
Rogan
kind
while
of
playing
around.
pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always listen though.
Yeah.
I like the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So give us a couple examples, but let's start with the rowing one from there.
Yeah, so a rowing one is just a simple standard row, which is obviously on the workouts on the rower. Just hit 2,000, put the rower down. You can row away, and then if someone's walking past, they can pull the screen up, or if you haven't got anyone else, so just cover the screen as apart from the little seconds and the timer, and then that will give you data. Or the other one I do is a 400-meter sandbag carry into a mile run. It's back to the 400-meter sandbag carry into max burpees.
And define max burpees.
Max burpees is you'll know until you are done it, whether you lose a nose-to-nose breathing or you are just done. You're happy. I want you to be happy with what the outcome is, to be happy with your performance.
That one is with, the whole thing is with nasal breathing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nose only.
Yeah.
So no data, nose only. If you're not ready, then you just do a no data first.
Yeah. So just do it without data. Try to be comfortable, and then see what that feeling equated to only at the end. instead of constantly. Because then I suppose you change the way that you are if you're just responding to that data.
No, but for example, like it was the greatest thing on the running. Like, so we had people yesterday doing with no data, pure nasal run, pure nasal breathing. So expecting somewhat of a freak out. Right? There's a guy, he does his 400 centimeter back carry, and he takes off for a run, and within 5 meters he had to stop, and then he starts walking. And within 3 steps, he has his hand on his knees, and he's bending over because he can't calm himself down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's a skill that may take you a very long time.
Like that true for me, it's going to take me a while. Yeah.
Now, however, some people pick up on this stuff. I mean, sometimes we see very quick changes.
Kyla picked up on it very fast, but guess what? She can't do the lifting, even bodybuilding.
That way.
Nasal only. So he can do both. I can't do conditioning. So the key is go toward the one you can't. So if you're good at conditioning and you can do nasal breathing only and yet push yourself to within 10 seconds of your 2K row, awesome. Go lift weight.
Yeah.
I go to a bodybuilding session, only nose breathing, but go heavy, like 5-6 reps max. And inhale, exhale through the nose. And we'll see if you can do that. And if you can do both, fuck me, you're doing good. Then that's how you train from now on. Because then, and then we're gonna test you once in a while to make sure that you still make progress.
Yeah. So give me I want another no data example. I want a no data without breathing thing. First though, I want to give them one where it's like no just data, no data, something simple.
But when you started that 4 minutes,
oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, there's 6 rounds of the 4 minutes of work, 2 minutes of rest, and I just enjoy it on the assault bike because it just tells you, the bike's just telling you to work or rest.
So you do 4 minutes on the air down, max work, 2 minute rest, 6 rounds. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. And so
I enjoy that one.
So do that. You'll do that one as you see fit, and then you can experiment with once you're comfortable without the data to then experiment with.
Yeah, I wouldn't advise people to go straight into the full thing unless you really, really want to. But I'm not sure you'll get the happiness or the win out of doing that.
And then, by the way, before we go full nasal breathing, start with inhale through the nose, exhale through the lips.
Okay.
You're gonna do a shitload more work like that, and then eventually you go to nasal. Yeah. Okay. If you start with full inhale, exhale through the nose, you're adding another layer.
Yeah, it's just that the nose to mouth is like that bridge between no data and nose to nose.
Okay. So yeah, that's interesting. It's almost like scaling it up.
You do. Yeah. You totally have to scale. If you go no data, nose, on the stuff you're good at, you might survive. On the stuff you're bad at, you won't even do the session. You say, fuck this. Like literally, if you've never given yourself a panic attack, have fun. Oh, no. He reminded me of my early jiu-jitsu stuff. Where you're like, I don't know, what do I do? Like a panic moment comes up where you go like, I don't know what to do. On the true form, I was like, I don't know how to catch my breath. And I was like, so I step off and I'm like, no mouth breathing, right? And I'm like, I'm guessing that's how people when they have an asthma attack feel. I was like, I cannot get my fucking heart rate down. I can't breathe. I was like, dude. And of course I went, and I was fine. Yeah. But trying to go, it's just, woof. Yeah. Overwhelming is the best way I can describe the experience.
So Andrew, how then has this been, like how long has it been since you think you've had this, I'm not going to call it a system, but this situation fully formed as far as you?
I'd probably say 2 months now.
So it's been a few months of you, and obviously a lot of work going up to that point.
Yeah, a lot.
But like how has everything improved in this last few months then for you as far as training goes, like the whole picture? Oh. What is sleep and home and everything?
Well, with on the nutrition as well, it's just everything has just become like focused. I'd say my desire to do and to do more action, whether that's home, work, myself. I just want to go and get some more work rate throughout my whole day, basically.
Yeah.
It's just become it's just unlocked me, but it's also allowed me to train harder and be better as well as a human outside of training.
Yeah.
So we do more.
And
more. That's really what the key, I think, of this is, that flow under pressure, is you can do more. I think in training and in life, we switch to the full sympathetic too soon.
Yeah.
Because it's a freak out moment, but I think it's a way to go into flight right away. A true fight happens as an arch, like that mushin in Japanese martial art, where the flow is there as well. A true fight, you're in the fight.
Yeah.
A true fight, you want to be in the fight. Right? People assume that a fight is losing. That's why usually they don't want it. right? A true fight, you're in there going, yeah, okay, I'm in it now. I'm going to try to win, right? So you try to be as present as you can.
That's my favorite thing is if you ever see anybody doing a lot of jaw jacking, like they're about to start a fight, the scene kind of shows up. There's two types. There's the guy that stands there and keeps talking and talking and talking. That guy doesn't want to fight.
No.
He does not want to fight. The guy that all of a sudden just...
The good ones.
That guy's there to fight.
That's
He's there to win that fight.
Good ones.
The guy talking is trying. He's
Yeah.
trying very actively to not fight right
Yeah.
now. Even though he's saying, "I'm gonna beat your ass," like that's just not what fighting is. Because we're here. Let's do it.
What we see people do is really extremes, right? Either they pace, don't do shit, or they go full extreme sympathetic, right?
Yeah.
So, but what that goes back to that podcast we did about moving the center.
Yeah.
What this allows you to do is allows you to move your center toward more work. So then suddenly it's days where don't stop.
And your former extreme is now your baseline.
Yeah, but suddenly you do work all day. Because I ended up, maybe I was just fucking lazy before, but I realized how much more work I'm doing now.
Yeah.
It's waking up, playing pool, then doing this and doing this and doing this, and then come back and then play some more pool. It's like 20-minute nap and then go back at it. The nutrition helping with this as well. But that's what basically all we've done really in the last few months between that stuff and the nutrition and everything is like, can you do more, better? For your day? Better means, by the way, that not full sympathetic, because then you're mindless. Can you be present every second of the day, fully aware and fully into what you're doing right now? Do you want to be where you are every second of the day?
Yeah.
That to me is a difference. And but what you see also, it doesn't relate to what is it that you're doing. Like people say, yeah, but I hate my job. You hate your job because you don't want to be there. If you had the focus of, I'm going to do whatever I do to the best of my capacity, you will start to like it a lot more. So a lot of times you think you don't want to be there because you had the job, but that's not true. You had the job because you don't want to be there. And that's what we've been working on really is, okay, so how do we increase focus of every second of every day? Yeah. The goal being, I want you to want to be where you are every second of every day.
Well, if you think about it, like getting on the assault bike or the rower, a thing that people very often go, I fucking hate that. No. It's a miserable experience. Imagine someone who's just trying to do work, if they will, and that work might be fucking 5 kilometers or whatever on the rower. They're spending that time just miserable in flight,
I just want to finish. I just want to finish.
And then the hour after is still like, oh my God, I hated that. I hope I never have to do it again. So, man, that's
so you're not going to accumulate work over time because you're not going to go back to that voluntarily. You're not going to get any benefit out of it because you're not getting any benefit out of anything you don't want to be there. You ever see kids that don't want to be in school? They ain't fucking.
It's about creating that positive network or task positive. And
it's like I'm just doing.
I'm just doing. I'm going to enjoy it and walk away.
Yeah.
Like I'd be happy with be happy with your performance is what I say to people.
You're just training yourself to endure more.
Yeah.
But that's not the point. That's being a slave.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the Industrial Revolution. That's all that stuff where let's put you in a factory where you're going to fucking hate what you do, but you're going to grind it for 8 hours. Right, that 150 years ago. Okay, the world has changed. We can do better now.
Yeah. Well, and it's come a long way, but
you don't have to be a slave. You don't have to be a factory worker.
And it's just numbers. So people that chase these numbers, I've seen it. You ever write a workout up if you have a group class where I want to do something specifically with which there just is not even a score at the end. Let's not even talk about not knowing when the workout ends.
A lot of affiliate owners now do that.
Yes, but people will freak out. I'm not saying you don't have a score that you just don't write down, but just one where it's just not scoreable. You know, some of those email people will just
or
lose
you don't
their
run
shit.
the clock. You say, you know what, you do fine, and then you don't run the clock. Let's see how hard you can push.
Yeah.
And you should know if you did the workout well or not.
Yeah.
There's been sessions where I've just basically just hit reset on the machine and walked off.
You don't want to know.
But I'm happy I don't need to because I'm sweating, I'm calm, I've enjoyed it.
You know you did work.
And you know if you pushed or not.
I know, and that's been about, you're taking responsibility of your own training. Am I happy with what I've done?
Yeah.
And if you are, then that's the win, isn't it?
You leave the pitch, a match, you know if you played well or not.
Yeah.
Like you might have lost the game, but you know if you played well or not. Sometimes you might have won the game and knew you didn't play well.
Yeah.
Right? You know. All right, so training should be like that. You know if you put in the work today or if you haven't. And but again, people use numbers for that as well. To go like, oh, I did what I should do. Yeah. No, you know you sucked that day. You know you didn't put in the work. Mentally, you didn't put in but the numbers tell me I did okay. No, that's bullshit. You know it's not true.
It's like the people who love the numbers and the heart rate, I call that external self-gratification.
Yeah.
You're getting that reward from someone else, well, why can't you get the reward from inside?
That's a participation medal you just get.
Mm-hmm.
People have to understand that's what the numbers are. It's that participation trophy that all those people saying, oh, kids today, they get participation trophy for anything they do, that's wrong. Well, guess what you're doing? You're doing the exact same shit with the numbers you're reading. You say, well, I did my work. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
You showed up and you did the bare minimum that you could have done that day, and you expect a trophy out of it. You're doing what you're blaming the kids of doing nowadays.
Yeah, and ripping the tape off and mouth breathing and just dying hard to fucking beat the time and get that number. That's not working harder. That's working dumber. You know, that's not.
And
that's not the point.
You can test and then you go die. But again, this is not a build-up. This is not the work we're talking about. This is training, not again, like he's going to mouth breathe and kill everybody on the pitch. Yeah, because now it matters. But in training, that's not the point.
Yeah. And before we finish, I just want to. We went through when we were at the gathering. Andrew presents. You two have obviously had been coaching and working together for a long time, and Julian's been involved in this process. However, I think that was the first time Julian's seen you present on it as it totally is. So it was really funny to me because I'm sitting back watching it, the camera set up and Andrew gets going and Julian's in the back just because he already presented. Yeah. And it didn't take it was just a few minutes in and Julian's up at the corner.
I expect him, okay, because he worked, but he didn't just work on the workout, he worked on the presentation as well.
It was the presentation.
So you've been working at this, let me check.
And I knew right away, and it was funny, I told Andrew, I said, I think Julian liked it, because he popped up and he was in there and he wasn't there to bail, Andrew goes, I was worried that he thought maybe I was fucking up and Julian was just going to have to bail me out.
No, because you worked on the presentation, it was obvious.
Yes, and you could really tell, though, that the actual work that you've done in this is, I'm not going to say fully formed because it'll evolve, but there's depth to it because you've done it. Because you've done it, and that's a big difference.
No, but the work was obvious. Yeah. Plus, what impressed me was it wasn't just work for rugby; it was just overall work on people. Yeah. You can tell a difference right away. It wasn't his work; it was work. Yeah. Like, how do I make this work?
The problem that I see is that when you're trial and error, if I'm going to trial and error something,
fuck up a few people.
I don't want to have error on a goddamn assault bike thing where I'm like, hey, this is supposed to make it easier, or it could make it way harder. So try this. I'm gonna be like, no, someone else is gonna try that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I want to know, and I want to know after I know what makes things better in the end. And so you're really lucky if you're watching this because now you got to skip all of that stuff, and you get to come into something that now you just have to figure out how to do this.
Honestly, once in a while, go give yourself a panic attack.
Yeah.
it teaches you about yourself on stuff where you've been kind of lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go do the one you're not good at with full nasal breathing and no data, and
there's been times when the session has been X amount of time, but the actual sitting next to the bike, contemplating life, and what did I do wrong here, and what's happening to my world was a lot longer than how long I was sitting on that saddle.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't. Like, it should be fine.
Well, that one didn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
Try something else.
Back to the drawing board.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, no, that was a bad idea after all. Well, I was so surprised that me was a true form.
Yeah.
Because 200 meters in, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think that's got us about at our time. We've got another group coming in here.
Right. We have the guys for the apprenticeship month.
But Andrew, thanks a ton for all the work they've done with this.
Yep.
It's been really, really interesting to see, and it's the first time, not the first time, but seeing something come where it takes all the things that Julian's been talking about, and then now I want to use it on a thing, not just on its own, but really into a thing and see it. It's focused and it's well-rounded, and it's really neat to see it kind of come up. Mm-hmm. So it's been really cool. How can people? Andrew is on Instagram as
Andrew Kalen Daish.
Andrew Kalen Daish, but it's D-A-I-S-H.
Correct.
All right, cool.
Yep.
Everything else is
Good
probably
job.
how it sounds.
Yeah.
Julian's on Instagram at
StrongFit 1 still.
StrongFit 1.
I'm not at CrossFit yet, but I'm trying to get that name.
And I'm at Tyler F. and Stone. Everything else, strongfit.com, strongfitequipment.com, strongfitequipment.eu.
I will soon be at CrossFit Games or at CrossFit. It will happen, but not yet.
And then you haven't even been able to buy your own name in 3 years, but you're like,
fuck it. Problem.
Yeah. Now we're just Chevrolet.
Sponsored by.
But I'm trying to think of what else we've got. Manta Fitness.
Very good.
Manta Fitness is the sandbags. What am I missing, guys?
Actually, that'd be
the
funny
seminars.
to tag us at CrossFit, since it can be used anyway. It'll be like,
How do
find
you
me
do
at,
that?
at CrossFit. I don't
Oh,
know,
just
but
to blow that
yeah,
shit
just
up?
To, yeah,
Just tell everybody that you
to
got
make
it now?
funny, yeah. Find me at StrongFit1 and at CrossFit.
Yes. So,
We could use it now.
and what about if people want to, like really want to get involved with your beta group? Just contact you, send you a message, and
Wait. If they're on the beta group, they have to do it. So
Yeah.
it doesn't work like that.
There's a few people in that group who've been
who don't do it.
don't do it. I think
All right,
they're out. They're
yeah,
out.
exactly.
They're out.
New plan. You can do the beta group, but you're gonna have to pay Andrew money, like
Yeah.
PayPal.
Yeah.
Set. I don't care if it's $20.
And you have to do the workout.
And you have to do the workouts.
Yeah, we'll organize something. If you want, put it in the comments somewhere. We'll organize something with Andrew. We can make it into some kind of a
Yeah.
template group stuff.
Yeah.
But first of all, you're going to pay him, and second of all, if you don't do a workout, you get 3 strikes.
Three strikes,
Three
you're out.
strike, you're out.
So at the very least, we'll keep it fast and loose. But that way, people, if they do want to get in there,
No, but
there's a way.
plus you can make money off of it because
Yeah.
it's your work.
Yeah.
But again, 3 strike, you're out.
Yeah. So, anyway, I think that's got us wrapped up. With the plugs and the things, now
Yeah.
we've scattered it too far. So,
Yeah, exactly.
whatever we're
Yeah.
supposed to sell, we're not selling today.
Yeah, not
Sorry.
today.
So.
Not today.
So, thanks a lot for listening. Thanks for coming, Andrew. And
Thanks,
we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, everybody.
Okay.